cracked up to be. We've discovered some of the imported brands contain dangerous toxins that could be harming our health. Sharon Smith also looks at the threat these cheap imports are posing on South Australia's clean green industry.
The Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued a warning today about Loblaw's no-name brand honey.
We exposed it once before, now it's happened again.
The product may contain toxic chemicals.
Imported polluted honey, poisoning the local industry and putting the public's health at risk.
Someone's got to jump up and down and have the responsibility of it and stopping this before it's all too late.
And once again, our authorities are sitting on their hands.
It needs to be stopped. The import of honey needs to be stopped in Australia.
Ashley Modra is a third-generation beekeeper from Gawler and says while he's struggling to make ends meet, supermarket shelves are being loaded with suspect cheap imports mixed with local product.
They're bringing honey in from overseas and using Australian honey, blending it, selling them back out the country as Australian honey at times.
And that's where the rot set in 4 years ago. Our exported honey bearing the Australian name was found to be contaminated with the illegal antibiotic nitrofurans by the Canadians and instantly withdrawn from sale.
It's a carcinogenic substance. It's caused cancer in rats, and if it causes cancer in rats, it's very likely that it'll cause cancer in humans.
Lawyer and former Chief Food Examiner Des Cybra was alarmed to discover nitrofurans also present in locally sold honey. But Australian authorities, Food Standards Australia and New Zealand, took no action.
They should have instituted an immediate recall and done what the Canadians did. Get it off the shelves and prosecute the people that are selling it.
Not only has this left consumers uncertain about the safety of the local product,
a lot of people worry these days whether you're actually buying Australian honey, how much, it's been blended.
It's also undermining the local industry.
We have pure product. We shouldn't compromise our good, clean, green image by bringing inferior products in from overseas that are contaminated.
And through no fault of their own, the Australian honey producers now find themselves facing oblivion. Lindsay Burke is a beekeeper who heads up the Australian Honeybee Industry Council.
It's the most important agricultural industry that we have in Australia. Without bees, we wouldn't have food.
But here's the really disturbing news. Today Tonight has just obtained evidence that yet another illegal antibiotic has shown up in honey tested in June. This time it's chloramphenicol.
Reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen.
Oh, it is a worry because clearly got through our net. It's got into the system.
Yet once again our food authorities are unmoved by these findings, saying
FSANZ does not consider that chloramphenicol residues in honey pose a high risk to public health and safety.
It's a direct fingerprint to China. Other countries have banned it because of this same chemical. We shouldn't be importing, we shouldn't have anything to do with that product.
But the dangers that lurk in our honey jars pose a vastly more sinister threat than most consumers appreciate. There are other contaminants in the imports that have the potential to devastate the entire bee population.
Downgrading Australian honey by blending it, and when the people don't really know they're getting 100% Australian honey.
The flow-on from the decimation of the industry is as obvious as the lesson about the birds and the bees.
The Australian honeybee industry produces $80 million worth of honey a year, and beside that we pollinate $4 billion worth of Australia's crops.
Lindsay Burke wants immediate action. Currently, only 5% of imported honey is tested for impurities.
We would like to change that to enable them to completely ban the product from coming here or doing 100% testing.
Ashley Modra says he and beekeepers like him don't have much time to wait. Drought and the constant threat of imported diseases, combined with any drop in consumer confidence, might prove to be too much for many in the industry.
It's real upsetting, but what can you do? The government's always like 10 years behind the 8 ball. The only way, we can really get ahead is stopping the imports of honey, make our product go up more. It's the best, more or less, in the world, I'd say. So, why isn't there a future there?
And we did contact Food Standards Australia, which confirmed the toxin is unsafe and also illegal. They say they're pressuring quarantine officials for